Hello, hello, what is up everybody? My name is Michael, or Kiratze Online. How are you guys doing? Hopefully great. I am back with some more Nova gameplay per the request of some people that want to see more of the Dark Nova deck that I made a couple days ago, or a few days ago, or something like that. Now I apologize to, I think, Valimir, who commented, asking to re-upload that Jax gameplay. I totally forgot to do it, and I played some games, and now it's not in my replay library, and you only can have 10 in your library, I believe, so it sort of sucks, but, you know, I'm going to be uploading some Nova gameplay. This is Nova gameplay, so you'll get your fix, don't worry, and these games are pretty fun. I made some tweaks from the list. It's actually not, I'm not running Dark Seeds anymore. I was running into too many Vitruvians, and we need some sort of edge to go against Third Wish, and Ephemeral Shroud is sort of like a must-have almost. Plus, it does help against some other matchups. It helps against, like, Vanar, and it's good against Vanar to deal with Fenrir. So it's not a dead draw in a lot of different matchups as well, and just having that slight edge of possibly being able to deal with something that's been Third Wished after is huge. It matters a lot, because it's our worst matchup. We have no good wheel deal with it, and yeah, especially if, because I've been running into Vitruvians that are running Sand Howler too, and you can't even use Demonic Lure or anything like that on it, or hard removal. So Ephemeral Shroud is nice. It lets your rush minions actually trade with stuff that's been buffed, and deals with anything pesky like Amara healers or anything like that. So I opted for putting those in, and I also put in Blood Tier Alchemists. I don't know if I had those in my old list. It's either that, or I think I might have added in the third Emerald. But regardless, this is the list I have currently. This is the one that's been working out better, but still some tweaks that need to be made, of course. But we are going to be playing, I'll show you guys two replays today. It'll be a double feature. Hoorah, hoorah. So the first game was against, the first game I want to show you was against a Lionar, I believe. No, this one was a Vanar. So we'll get another Vanar game in here. This is a good one. I feel this list is pretty favored against Vanar, just because we're running 3 Grasps, 3 Spectrals. Even the Shrouds help a lot in the matchup as well. So, and with all of our early board control, we have a ton of ways to deal with the early board. And really, even if you're just 1-for-1ing them, as long as you're like keeping their board control down, their Razorbacks are pretty much just sitting in their hand doing nothing. So it's really, really, I think it's still sometimes a tough matchup because for a Nova list, but I think Abyssian has some good tools against Vanar. I'm personally a fan of the Vanar matchup when I'm running Grasp of Agonies and Spectrals, Spectral Blades. So here's just playing with Fenrir. It's nice that Jaxie doesn't get Chromatic Cold. We mulligan into another high drop. That sort of sucks, but that's all right. I want to keep the Alcuins because Vanar has some really good stuff to steal, and like mainly Chromatic Colds, but all these cards are fine anyways. Spectral is awesome to deal with the first half or parts of Fenrir, and Nightstar Assassin can help with that as well. So I sort of want to develop everything here at once. It does sort of suck using a Nightstar Assassin to trade with one half of the Fenrir, but we really just want to take control of the board and really just keep their body count as low as possible so they can get as little value out of Razorbacks as they can. So I'm going to play a Nightstar Assassin here, and we're going to have access to 5 mana this turn, so I can kill off the first half of Fenrir, and then run down here, equip my Spectral Blade. Now, there was a couple of options I was thinking of. I was thinking of just trading Jaxie and hitting with my General, and then applying Spectral Blade. But I was really worried about losing the 50-50, that he could just walk up and kill it with his General, because I'm terrible with Jaxie spawns. So I figure keep Jaxie alive as long as possible. And it can also possibly bait out a Chromatic Cold. And whoopsie, I think the sound is a little too loud, so I'll knock that down a little bit for you guys. Hopefully that's better. Now we have both of our Spectral Revenants. Really, really sucks. This kind of hand I'm sort of worried about because we have no removal right now. We're really looking for our Saber Spines, Nightstar Assassins, cards like that. So he's going to play Glacial Elemental. So he is using a spamming sort of deck. Probably playing White Widow as well. Pings off the Jaxie. Luckily we get a good spawn off of that. And now we are really digging for Grasp of Agony, which we don't find. Grasp of Agony would have been huge there. So really we can still deal with Glacial Elemental. That's the important one because I don't want him to be able to ping off Jaxi. So we kill that off. We are going to take a little bit more damage, but that's alright. We have a lot of healing in the deck, so I'm perfectly fine. We're still at relatively healthy life total. I ping off this just in case he does attack me there, or he decides to try and trade with one of my lower drops. At least it'll be an even trade there. So now we found some removal, and we're starting to build up some creep. Building up creep is good. You are looking for the longer game, and especially against lower health minions that sometimes like Vanar has. Now he's playing a pretty interesting list using Ash Mafeet. Pretty cool. I actually think it's pretty nice in Vanar when you're, when you have cards like Razorback and things like that. You can have a really big turn. So we don't really need Spectral Revenant. Great card, but yeah, Grasp of Agony is really the key player in again in the Vanar matchup. Getting value out of Grasp of Agonies can win you games. Is just huge. So really trying to maximize the value out of these cards is how you're going to win the Vanar matchup. Spectral Blade and Grasp of Agony are probably the best cards you have in the matchup because they don't have great ways to deal with Spectral Blade other than running stuff into your minions, or running their minions into you, I mean. I play Abyssal Crawler here, so I protect my Jaxi, so he can't run down and kill it. And I want him to initiate the trades on Jaxi so it can get rushed. Sadly, no matter where it spawned, it was going to die, so that sort of sucks. But it's alright, it forces him to spend a little bit of time running up here to kill it off, so we can ignore that guy for a while. So now he has Jack's True Sight. Luckily he placed it here. Pretty good for us, since we have a great Grasp of Agony now. We can deal with pretty much everything that he has. So my goal here is pretty much Grasp of Agony this, and then the nice thing about Rush Minions is it does give your Grasp of Agony's reach. So that's why I really like the Rush Minions. They're just can be good activators for Grasp of Agony. Excuse me. So we're doing that. Kill off this whole corner. We can run over, kill this one, and I was thinking of just trading off my Jaxies, but I really just wanted to get rid of this guy, which was sort of a misplay because really he could just run over here and then kill off my Jaxi, and then his Jaxi would still be alive. So that was a little bit of a misplay. I should have just ignored this 2-1 Ash Mafeet. It's really not that threatening. Worst case scenario, oh damn, Knight Zero Assassin is moonwalking there. Worst case scenario, it gets Razorback and hits me for 4. But again, we're at a really high life total still, and we still have a bunch of healing. Plus we have Void Pulse, Alchemist, Void Pulse, so we need to even up the game a little bit. So really, I should have just traded off the Jaxies. Because I still would have been able to develop Abyssal Crawler. So yeah, that was a little bit of a misplay there. So he's going to run over, kill off the Mini Jax, as to be expected. And his Jaxi can just ping off my Abyssal Crawler. But we have some nice creep building up, so now we're really, especially because we're getting to Shadow Creep turns, we need to start looking for those Shadow Novas. So Voice of the Wind here is a little bit annoying, especially when he has this combo going on. Luckily, in a deck like this, our minions are rarely ever going to stay alive on the board as it is. So we are in a little bit of pickle here. We have not really any good tools. If this was a Night Star Assassin, we could at least deal with this. And he's sort of being a little bit annoying with the emotes. It's okay, we get him back in the future. And I was thinking of, if this was a Night Star Assassin, I could play Alcuin, get back my Grasp of Agony, play it on this, and then Night Star Assassin this. But luckily we draw into our Shadow Nova, so I can deal with the threatening parts. So I can kill off the Jaxi and this. It would have been nice to get some damage in on him, but really we're looking for the board control right now. Late game, you're looking for Shadow Novas for board control or face damage, it's just case by case basis. Right now, board control is what we need to get back because we're in no position to actually start lethaling him, and especially he's in the corner, so it makes Shadow Novas really, really ineffective when you already have 2 creep progressed. So now we have 7 creep total, so our next creep's going to hit for 11 once we actually draw into it. Pretty scary. And we're still at a relatively high life total. This is about the life total you want to sort of be in. At least 15 or above. It's fairly safe to start placing Novas down, especially when we know we have a bunch of Void Pulses and Alcuins. So he's playing walls, and he's definitely surrounding me. A little bit scary, but he doesn't really get much value out of this Razorback, which is nice. We were able to deal with the Jack's True Sight, which is probably what his main target was for Razorback, of course. And now we have a bunch of Void Pulses. That's pretty much all we have. Oopsie, clicked on my browser there. And I can Alcuin get the Shadow Nova back, but considering what he has on board, it is a little bit risky. Because if I run down here to try to get away from the walls, he could Razorback again, and then these 2 guys could hit me for 12, and then he could run up as well and hit me. So it would be lethal. So really, we're just trying to get away from the walls. That is priority number 1. Priority number 2, get rid of some of the board. And now I have enough mana to Void Pulse, Alcuin, Void Pulse, which is still fine. Creating a 10, we're narrowing the gap especially. And really, because of how much creep we have built up, we're just really buying time till we draw into our Novas, or cards like Spectral Revenant, where it can be some good late game. Now I want to play Alcuin back here, because I don't want... because I want to be able to potentially trade with this, or trade with whatever he drops later on. He uses his Hearth Sister, brings one of the walls down to kill off my guy. Oh no, he just cryogenesis it. Never mind. He's going full aggro now. We do have a really high life total, so he's trying to box me in, set up for more Razorbacks. So this is where I'm getting a little bit worried. We don't have a Grasp of Agony. Again, in situations like this, Grasp of Agony just helps you win games. Being able to get 3 minions off the board and deal 4 face damage is huge. Potentially 7 face damage if they're beside the Grasp of Agony target. So right here we can deal with 2 of his things. Bulk Alchemist is pretty crappy to draw, but at least it does give us a little bit of board control considering he has 3 things at 1 health. So I'm able to use Spectral Revenant to kill off this wall, and then Bloodtear Alchemist to kill off this guy. And then I can move down. I want to get closer to my Novas so I can be in a little bit of a safer spot, because he's obviously not going to want to leave his minions on the board. There. So my goal is to get to the left side of the field. Not only that, it'll potentially draw him out from getting away from the wall, so my next Shadow Nova can definitely be lethal. I mean, even if I place it down here, it'd be 4, 8, 9. And we have a Void Pulse to finish him off, but still. Being able to hit more things potentially for more Shadow Nova damage is nice. So I'm sort of blocking him a little bit. If he wants to move over here, he's going to put his Fenrir into the Shadow Novas. Sadly, he has a way out of hand to deal with Spectral Revenant, but that's alright. He doesn't have a way to lethal me right now, so that's fine. Even if he Razorbacks. If he double Razorbacks, that would have been 5, 7... 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So that, I guess, would have been lethal. But he already used a Razorback, and he would have had both other Razorbacks in his hand. So, still relatively safe to play like this. And we didn't have many other good plays for that section, so. We did draw our Grasp of Agony, which is nice. But now we are really looking for that Shadow Nova. So Shadow Nova is lethal. Spectral Revenant is not lethal. And this is one of those turns where it's like do or die. We pretty much have no way to live if we don't win this turn. The nice thing, though, is we do have Grasp of Agony and Alcuins. So there's a lot of different stuff we could do. Luckily, we draw into our Shadow Nova. So really, Grasp of Agony on here. Shadow Nova, and that's 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 damage. And Shadow Nova, just Grasp of Agony with cards like Shadow Nova and Spectral Revenant, if they place things beside them like this, you can get just so much burst of damage and really end the game there. All right, well, this is a little bit of a bug in the replay system. I've never had this happen before. So the game, I guess, just doesn't end. Game just doesn't end. All right, well, good to know. Well, I guess we'll end the game manually. So that was a pretty fun game. The next game we are playing up against a Lionar? Either Lionar or Vitruvian. So I don't think this was a third. This might have been a third wish vet, but he was running some pretty weird stuff. It seemed more like a White Widow vet Vitruvian, but it was still a pretty fun game. So I thought I'd show it anyways, because Vitruvian's one of our worst matchups anyways. But it's not a great example just because it's not third wish Vitruvian. I mean, I'm thinking he had third wish in his deck maybe. But considering how much he replaces this game and doesn't find one, it's hard to say. It seemed like more he was just a spam cycle deck. So we got a turn 1 play. We got some Rush minions for potential removal. Anything that he tries to protect behind him, which is nice. And we got a little bit of healing. Don't really care about the Shadow Novas right now. Obviously too late of a game card. So he's playing Aethermaster, and I'm just imagining he's just trying to cycle for... third wishes and stuff like that, but then he plays Mana Forger, and then I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's just like a weird cycle deck that he just wants to run through his deck, aggro, I don't know, probably looking for third wish, I don't know. I figure pretty much every Vitruvian is third wish by now. It's just safe to assume, because third wish is the biggest card you lose to, right? So here we were able to deal with his whole board. Sadly, we don't really progress our board, but again, just trying to do board control, give him less third wish targets, and keep our life total as high as possible. Wow, that is loud. Okay, so we deal with everything. Don't let him get more value out of the Mana Forgers and Aether Masters, which is nice. We draw into some more board control. Spectral Blade is pretty good. The thing about Spectral Blade in the Vitruvian matchup, you really want to hold on to it till you get instant value out of it. Make sure you can at least kill off something, even though it is sometimes less mana efficient to just keep it in your hand and float the mana when you can prep a Spectral Blade. Just playing it bare and not getting value out of it into a Vitruvian is just too dangerous. Having Rash's Curse and stuff like that is just not good. So now this is the perfect game plan. We're just keeping board control. We have mid control, developed a little bit of creep, and we have some healing, and we got plenty of removal still. So here he is, trying to cycle more, and this is exactly the reason why you don't want to play a bear artifact into a Vitruvian, unless you're desperate. It's a pretty cool deck. I mean, he just draws so many cards through his deck. It's pretty insane. So he just wants to take that mana tile away from me. That's perfectly fine. And then he uses first wish to buff up his Aethermaster, make it a little bit sticky, but that's alright. We have Night's Assassin that can deal with it, and we have 5 mana, so we can still develop our Jaxi as well. Jaxi sort of is a little bit blah in this matchup as well, just because of the spells, but that's alright. Still keeping board control, that's pretty much the name of the game. And we have a life advantage as well, so it's safe to hit him. So we're getting up to 7 mana, so now's the time you actually want to start looking for your Novas, or at least looking for your Spectral Revenants. It's pretty important. We still got 2 Night's Assassins for removal. We got some healing. Probably start cycling our Rejuvenators, though, just because we are still at a relatively high life total, so just 1 Rejuvenator is fine. So this is exactly the kind of spot that we want to be in. So he's healing up a little bit. Now, I haven't seen a third wish. This is where I'm thinking that he might not have it, but I'm sort of confused as what he's playing then. So here's where Grasp of Agony is, the bomb. Grasp of Agony with Spectral Blade. Super, super good. Oh, excuse me. Especially when, your opponent rarely plays around it. Cards like this, you really want to place behind you. So he should have placed this over here. So if I did draw into Grasp of Agony, he would have not lost his whole board. So here, Dispel is his card. So I decided to just get his Dispel and then Dispel the Mana Forger so I can just kill it off. And then use this Night's Assassin to kill off Aethermaster. I know he's playing White Widow, so I figure killing Aethermaster is safer than killing off Healing Mystic. They both have the same amount of health, so it doesn't matter even if it gets third wished. It would take the same amount of resources to kill it. The only difference is Healing Mystic would get 1 health, 1 attack more. So I decided just to steal off his Dispel. I was thinking of instead just Spectral Blade, kill off Mana Forager, and then run the Night's Assassin in, which might have been a better play, but I would have rather developed a body like Alcuin on the board, since it would have enough damage to kill off a trade-off with Healing Mystic anyways. So dispel that, hit it with my face, and kill off the Aethermaster. So now we have one of our late game cards, perfect curving out into Spectral Blade on turn 7. We also have some mana efficient turns. We could do Blood Tier Spectral Night's Assassin, or we could do Night's Assassin Emerald Rejuvenator next. So these, start thinking of what plans you could have for the next turn. Not waiting until the turn actually starts to start thinking about those things. You really want to be prepping and imagining, okay, what can happen if X happens. So he gets the third wish off. Sucks a little bit, but we're still at an all-right life total. Luckily, when that happened, we weren't at like 15 or something like that, because that's when it gets really, really dangerous. So here, I had the option of just playing Spectral Revenant and trading the 2 off. Alternatively, I was thinking of Alternatively, I'm thinking of Blood Tier Night's Assassin to kill it off, and I sort of prefer that. Reason being is I would like to have Spectral Revenant stay alive when I trade with something, and this still kills it off. So, and we at least develop something as well. So, I like this line of play a little bit better. And if it gets to the point where we can play Spectral, like if we get to core 9 and being able to play Spectral Revenant plus a 2-drop, that gets better as well. So here I'm perfectly fine with just blood tearing Night's Assassin and kill that off. Still a little bit at a, not the greatest life total. But, what are you going to do? So I want to force him a little bit closer to the Shadow Nova, or to the creep. It's a minor thing, but it can make positioning a little more awkward. I like the Night's Assassin movement in the replay, just like having a moonwalk session. So this is nice. We have a lot of healing now as well, and we're still ahead on board. So this is all right. He does draw a lot of cards, but it's tough for him to kill me at this life total from out of hand, especially from the cards that I've seen. I know he's playing Third Wish, but still, he still needs a certain sequence of cards, I guess. Pretty much Laser Cat. Well, let's see. On 8 mana, you would need Laser Cat. So that'd be 6. His general would make it 8. Yeah, I don't think he actually could lethal me. Unless he had a very specific set of cards. So Amara healers, we haven't seen our lures yet, which sort of sucks. But we still have a way to deal with it. Sadly, it's not 9 mana right now, because then I could Ephemeral Shroud this, Spectral Revenant, keep both bodies on the field, and he gets no benefit out of Amara. Looking back, he's only played a Second Wish, so we don't really want Second Wish. Doesn't really help us. We have almost a full hand anyways. So I decided to dispel it. No, I don't dispel it. I think here I just take the damage. Yeah. I just take the damage here. We still get to keep Spectral Revenant, so this is still a little bit of a risky play, of course, but we have no way to deal with the 5/5 body after we dispel it anyways. So he could still potentially just Third Wish it, and that would really, really suck for us. So here, I get to move out of the way so he can't run up and hit me. And we still get to use our Void Pulse to curve out to get a little bit of healing. So he still needs a certain set of cards to actually deal with me. Like, I don't know. Since I've already seen a Third Wish and seen a Laser Cat, he would need, like, Laser Cat. Let's see. He could Rash's Curse. I don't know. I mean, there are a certain set of cards that could kill me here. But considering the cards I've seen, I feel pretty safe doing this. So he needs to be able to dispel the Spectral Revenant and find some way to deal with it. Because So he time Maelstroms here. A little bit worrisome because now his general can attack me, so it adds an extra 2 damage on what I'm worrying about. But still, he didn't really... When they time Maelstrom and don't have a board develop, it's a lot less scary. He has to worry, though, because he is at 12 health, so he has to be really careful about whether or not he wants to take the damage from Spectral Revenant. Because since he doesn't have a board develop, he needs a rush minion plus Dispel. If he doesn't have the Dispel, he's going to go down to 8. And when you're playing it against an Abyssian, it's very, very scary getting low health. Especially when you have almost a full hand. And we have both of our late game cards. We have Spectral Revenant and we have Shadow Nova. So we drew into both 2 more late game cards. So he does have the right combination of cards to deal with this without taking much damage, and he does have another Amara healer. But luckily, we drew into our other Spectral Revenant, so we're able to deal with it with Ephemeral Shroud. And even as well, we could have done it with Shadow Nova also. I would have rather developed 2 bodies. It gets the same effect down. We do 1 less damage, though, because Shadow Nova would have done 5 damage. But it's all right. We can use Shadow Nova as a finisher if need be. I'd rather develop the bodies here. And we got some healing too. So if we decide to run away and just double Rejuvenator or something like that, that is a possibility as well. So we're in a pretty good position because I know he had to use that combo to deal with the previous Spectral Revenant, and it seemed like he had trouble dealing with it already. He had to use Time Maelstrom, it looked like, to dig for an answer. And now I feel much safer doing this also. And he's the one that is pretty much in a losing position at this point, unless he drew into a very specific set of answers. So, yeah, I feel pretty confident here that we're going to win. Especially when we have Shadow Nova, because we could just Shadow Nova, like, we could just run away, Shadow Nova. So he decides to Alcuin. He gets back his Rash's Curse. So really, he needs his Dispel at this point. You can tell. You can also tell just by like the way your opponent's playing. It gives you certain tells on how things are going on. If they're taking a long time or things like that, it obviously means they don't have an immediate answer. So he has another Mara healer to match my Spectral Revenant, but luckily we drew into the Demonic Lure. And that is that. GG. So that was a couple more games with my Dark Nova deck. Or I guess Nova Rush now. We took out the Dark Seed, so it's not really Dark Nova. But Dark Seeds would have actually come in handy in those last turns. But obviously those Ephemeral Shrouds came in handy as well. So that is Nova Rush. It's a really, really fun deck. It's a really tough deck to play. But it's one of the Nova lists I'm happy with so far. It's been a while since I've played with a Nova list that I've been happy with. So it's a lot of fun to play. If you were looking for a Shadow Nova deck, this might be for you. It has some fairly good matchups across the board other than Vitruvian, but really any deck you play against Vitruvian as Abyssian is going to suck. The deck does pretty well against Linar. It's actually not that bad against Linar when they're looking for the long game anyways. It's good for you. And it sort of sucks for Sunblooms and stuff like that for Shadow Novas, but they have to have it. And you can be pretty aggressive with this deck as well. Vanar, it's pretty good Vanar matchup. Songhai, it's pretty good because you have a lot of ways to deal with artifacts with the Rush Minions and Void Pulses, and you got a lot of healing in the deck as well. So that is nice. Against Magmar, it's not bad. I haven't played against enough Magmars with the deck to really decide against it. And against other Abyssian decks, it's fine against other Abyssian decks as well, especially when you're running 3 Grasp of Agonies. But that is Nova Rush. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to check out the links I have in the description below and hit me up on all the social media stuff. If you have any questions, feel free to add me in game if you want to talk Abyssian. And I'll definitely be back in the future for more streams, more YouTube content. And as usual, let me know in the comments below what you guys would like to see in the future for YouTube content, because I'm always open to anything at all. But other than that, hopefully you guys have a great rest of your weekend, and if you're watching this on the weekend, of course, take care, have a great night, day, morning, wherever you are, and I will talk to you guys soon.